Let's make some Andy's chocolate mint brownies. Welcome back to the Whole Food Plant-Based Cooking Show, where we make plant-based cooking easy. I'm Jill, and today we are going to make Andy's chocolate mint brownies. Yes, they are so good. We are going to start with the base, which is the chocolate brownie part, and then there's going to be a cream layer, and then there's going to be a frosting on top. So the crust, we got 1 can of chickpeas that have already been rinsed and drained. So that's a 14-ounce can. We got 3/4 of a cup of pitted dates, 1/2 cup of cocoa powder, 1/2 cup of peanut butter, and this is a no salt, no oil, no sugar peanut butter. It's basically just peanuts ground up. You could also use almond butter. That would be a good alternative. Then I've got 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda and 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder. And then 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Now we're just going to blend it here in our food processor just to get it all incorporated and well mixed so it looks like that creamy brownie batter. And just like normal, I forgot to put in an ingredient, so we've got 1/4 cup of soy milk, and this is an unsweetened soy milk because we are getting our sweetness from those dates. But you can use whatever plant milk you like. Blend again. All right, there we go. Look at that, it all clumped together so it's nice and sticky. So you are going to need a brownie pan. This is an 8-inch brownie pan, or you can use a 9-inch brownie pan, that's good too. And I'm gonna line mine with parchment paper because I like to pull the bars out before serving them and cutting them into bars. But you could just put it straight into your brownie pan if you want, and then you just get them out with a spatula. And one tip for the parchment paper, if you want to get it down there nice and snug, you just crumple it up. And you can even get it a little bit wet. I'm going to put just a little bit of water on there. And that helps it kind of form to your pan. Okay, now we're going to put our batter right into the pan. And you can do this, you can mash it down with your hands or you can use a spatula. Either way works just fine. But this batter is not quite like a typical brownie batter where you could just pour it into the pan. This is a very thick brownie base. So you are going to need to press it in, not pour it in. Okay, there we go. It's all pressed into your pan. And now I'm going to put it in the oven. My oven is on 350 degrees, and we're going to put it in there for 25 minutes. While we're waiting for that, I'd like to share some background on our show. The Whole Food Plant-Based Cooking Show is crowd-funded, which means these free weekly recipe videos, along with our entire catalog of free printable recipes on our website, plantbasedcookingshow.com, and our Plant-Based Cooking Made Easy cookbook series, are all made possible in part by the generous patronage of our supporting membership community. So if you love our recipes, I invite you to join us on our mission to make plant-based cooking easy, and follow the link in the description to become a supporting member today. There's no denying the plant-based diet is a nutrient powerhouse, but did you know there are a handful of hard-to-get nutrients even well-crafted diets are often lacking? The latest research suggests that complementing your diet with a few specific vitamins, minerals, and omega-3s will help boost your energy and keep you thriving for the long term. That's why my daily health routine includes Complement Essential. Complement Essential contains the 8 critical nutrients lacking from most plant-based diets in dosages optimized specifically for us. As a special discount for our viewers, just use code PLANTBASEDEASY at checkout to save 15% off of your order. Okay, so while your brownie base is baking in the oven, we're going to make that delicious minty cream filling. So really, I modeled these after the flavor of those little Andy's mints. You know, sometimes if you go to a hotel, they put them on your pillow, or you get them at a restaurant after your meal. They're so delicious. So that's kind of the flavor we're going for. So I've got 1 cup of cashews. And if you don't have cashews, you could also use almonds. It's 1/3 cup of pitted dates, 1 teaspoon of peppermint extract. And then this is completely optional. I'm just using this just to give it a little bit of that green color, but you don't have to use it if you don't have it. This is 3/4 teaspoon of matcha powder. And then 1/2 cup of water. And this one you have to work at it just a little bit just to make it super silky and creamy. You'll have to mix and then shake it down, scrape down the sides and mix again, just back and forth like that until you get that really nice creamy consistency. And sometimes if your mixture is a little bit thick, if you feel like it's just not blending well, you add just 1 tablespoon of water. I wouldn't go much more than that because the mixture won't set up in your bar. But just to get things moving a little bit, sometimes all it takes is just a teeny bit more water. So I'm gonna add about 1 tablespoon there and mix again. Okay, there we go. Silky and creamy. Finally, after a lot of work getting that to be creamy, it's done. So now I'm gonna get this out of the way and I'm gonna get the ingredients for the top chocolate frosting layer. All right, now for that chocolate frosting. So I've got 1/2 cup of pitted dates, 2 tablespoons of almond meal or almond flour, 2 tablespoons of cocoa powder, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and 1/2 cup of hot water. And we're just going to mix it just the same like the other one. It takes a little bit of patience to get it really silky and creamy. And if at the end, if there's still a few little fine date chunks in there, you can always strain it through a little sieve if you want it to just be super silky and smooth. But if you don't mind a little bit of date chunks, it's not a problem. Okay, so now that our frostings are done, we are just waiting for our brownie base to finish baking, and then you'll want to let it cool for about 10 minutes before you put on these layers so that it doesn't kind of melt them while you're pouring them on. Okay, so our brownie base is cooled. Now we just need to assemble it. So we're going to pour the mint filling on there first, or the mint layer. Oh, I wish you could smell this. It smells so good. Yum. And I already know that this tastes amazing because I've made it a couple times before. And I've got the approval of my husband and my mom and my dad. They are here visiting and they got to taste it, and I got their approval too. So it is good. All right. So you're just spreading this over the whole thing and just trying to get a pretty even layer. Smooth that top out a little bit. And it's really best if at this point you put it in the refrigerator and let this layer set up a little bit. It's easier to get the frosting on there. But I'm just going to show you today, because it's a pretty liquidy frosting, we'll be able to get it over there just fine. But it's a little bit easier if you refrigerate that second or that middle layer, just so it's a little bit more firm. But if you don't have the time and you're not willing to wait for it, you can do it this way. You just have to be really gentle when you spread it so that you don't mix those layers together. So I'm just kind of swiping across the top and dragging it. I'm not really you know, spreading it. I'm just kind of dragging it across the top. Just take your time because it's so worth it. This bar, you're just gonna love it. Okay, there we go. Now all that's left is to put it in the fridge, and it's really best if you can put it in the fridge and leave it overnight so it sets up really nice and firm so that when you cut the bars, they'll be solid. Okay, it's tasting time. Here we go. So they sat overnight in the refrigerator to set up, and they are perfectly set up. The top is really nice and creamy, and the bottom is nice and firm. Look at that. It smells so minty. So minty and chocolatey. You're gonna love it. Come on back next week for another great recipe.